time of tradition, there were three filmmakers with nothing in common. They thought they had it all figured out. They don't just follow the movies, they make them. Alexander Pavlak, Mario Silvas, and Jamal Alexander are the makers on film.
Okay, welcome to Makers on Film. This is your host, Alexander Pavlak. And with me is Mario I. Silvas.
That's me.
Cinematographer and recording specialist.
Just go ahead and scratch the cinematographer out of that one, but yeah.
Okay. So how you doing today, Mario?
Man, I can't complain. I, did absolutely nothing today. Realized that I have nerve damage in my left leg today.
Really?
Yeah, I was trying all day from knee down. It's just been on fire. So I went down to the free clinic this morning, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have nerve damage. See you next time." It's like, fucking cripes.
So is that from the fleas?
Oddly enough, no. We got rid of those the other day.
All of them? Would you just get like a sheepdog and herd them out?
Yeah, we're like, okay, fleas, go into the dog, and then we just pitch the dog out of the window. No, we got it's a soap, or it's a detergent enhancer, I guess is the easiest way of putting it, in borax.
Yeah, you're saying that.
Yeah. So we just sprinkled that out. I bought a new vacuum, and we just cleaned the shit out of the house the past week or so. So we're 99% flea free. We're waiting for the eggs to hatch before we clean the house again.
How long does that take?
Honestly, it takes about a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, so this morning I woke up, my left leg was on fire all day. It's just been in pain. I've had to wear, I put on my brace so my foot doesn't bend.
You've had problems with this before?
Yeah. When I was younger, I fell out of a tree and I bashed the hell out of my left side, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so every once in a while, my leg would tweak or my arm would freak out on me. I just feel this really strong twinge. And then I guess me getting up in my old age, I'm 26, and the rain happened today as well where I live. So I think that was just a bad. My knee can predict the future. God. I can predict the future weather.
You are getting old.
And so I just woke up this morning and my leg was just killing me.
Yeah. So I have another question for you, Mario. Do you suppose Jamal's getting upset because we haven't introduced him yet to the show?
Who?
Exactly. Nobody.
Remember, honestly, I was reading the comments earlier, and apparently people aren't a big fan of Jamal. I personally love Jamal. I think he's a great guy. Very intuitive, very smart for what it is. And I'm just, some people aren't a fan of him. I don't know why. Yeah. Jamal, you there?
Hi, I'm Jamal. My leg's fine.
I love how Mario referred to Jamal as it.
Thanks. My leg's fine, and apparently I'm hosting the show with a bunch of old people because apparently when it rains, their hips and their legs act up.
That's Mario. I sleep through the night. I don't have to get up and pee, and I don't need prune juice to poop, so I'm doing pretty good.
Hey, being regular is an amazing thing.
You are anything but regular.
Oh my god.
You're a fucking prick. All right, so anyway.
Hi, I'm Mario. I can walk in circles and I don't see colors well.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Go eat a hamburger, fatty. So
I'd probably weigh less than you do right now.
I'm at 180.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm less round than you. Because I'm taller.
He's more cigar shaped.
Kind of shut you up on that one there, didn't I, buddy?
Sure, let's go with that.
No, I've been doing my diet. I've been working out the past month and a half.
Have you been doing your Pilates?
Yoga, actually, for my back. Uh,
Oh my
no,
god!
seriously.
What are you falling
Oh,
apart over there? What the hell is going on?
No,
Got nerve
because
damage. Go ahead.
because I lug around anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds of equipment every whenever I do, for 12 to 16 hours a day. So it compresses my back. So I have to stretch out my back, stretch out my legs, basically stretch out my body. So when I do work 16, 12-hour days, my body can learn to heal itself again. So I started taking up yoga. I've been sleeping better, minus the whole, nerve damage apparently in my leg. Sleeping better, been able to exercise a lot more. Um, Overall, to fucking hippies, but it's a better lifestyle. In all honesty, I do feel a lot better.
Any yoga practitioners listening today? Go down and comment. Just look us up on MLF.ninja.
Yeah,
Recommend
go
us.
look Downward Dog and leave a comment. Oh, yoga joke.
Tell us what's wrong with you. Like, what hurts on you? I'm kind of curious now.
yes,
My
tell us
heart.
about your ailments or your infestations or whatever.
Okay, so let's see. We got the fleas. We had a quick spider infestation the other day because the rain was starting. Um, my leg. I'm growing my hair out right now, so I'm in that awkward like.
In between stage.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like I'm in like high school kid growing his hair out, always wearing a beanie, hair flipping up, feathered stage. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do, and I can't picture it on you. You must look really gay now.
It's fucking terrible. Well, it's great. I woke up this morning and I'm like I audibly screamed, "Fucking hair, get out of my goddamn face!" Went into my roommate's room, grabbed one of her hair ties, pulled my hair back, and it's only like 5 inches long. But I pulled my hair back, tied it in a little bun, and I'm walking around. And I was like, how bad is this? I went in the bathroom and took a profile picture of me. I got a goddamn brat tail.
Oh man.
I was like, I'm
I try to keep my hair short now just because I don't want to deal with it in the morning. I'm lazy.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Alex, what ails you?
I got badly sunburned this weekend. Well, not badly sunburned, but I got sunburned this weekend because
What did a car flash its brights at you?
no, I had a yard sale, so I was outside like all day for 2 days, and I had a tent that I tried to stay under, but people come around, start looking at your stuff, so you
Yeah.
kind of want to make sure they're not stealing anything.
It's Arizona as well. I mean, the sun is just everywhere.
It is everywhere. I tried to get it off of me, but so there's that.
You're stupid.
I have allergies, which I live in the desert and I still have allergies. So, and
You're allergic to pug, is what it is.
probably that's about it though. I did hurt my back a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, in a freak jumpy castle accident, but um, I've lost a little bit of mobility there, but
Yeah, dude, please go back to that.
wait. Yeah, yeah. Go back to that story.
so actually it was about a year and a half ago.
Was there or was not tequila involved?
It was afterwards, but
Fair enough.
funny you should mention that. It was a friend of ours, kid's birthday. So I'm at my friend's house, and we pull out the lightsabers, and we're playing around with the kids, and the kids have the jumpy castle. So I'm in the jumpy castle with the kids, and now I'm 40 plus years old, and not as spry and flexible as I used to be. So the kids are doing like backflips and forward flips in the jumpy castle, and me, after a beer or so, think,
Just
yeah,
having a hard time walking.
no, me after a beer or so, I think, yeah, I can do that too. So I try to do a front flip, and I land wrong, and I throw a disc out in my back.
Jesus Christ.
So excruciating pain right away. Okay, so like now I get a new appreciation for watching American action films because there's always a point in it where the hero falls from a balcony, from a roof, lands flat on their back, gets up and runs off. And I'm like, no, I hurt myself in a jumping castle, and that thing is made to absorb people, landing on it. So
You
it's like,
fell in a jumping castle less than 3 feet high onto a squishy surface
and I threw out a disc in my back.
and still were able to throw out a disc in your back.
Yeah. So, get this though. So,
Oh, there's more.
excruciating pain, like for the first 10, 15 minutes. I can't even move. I finally muster up the energy to get out of the jumpy castle, which was not an easy thing. 'Cause I also had 2 lightsabers in my hand at the time because I wasn't giving those up.
You had, what was that, Alex?
I had 2 lightsabers in my hands.
Just wanted to make sure that the audience heard that part.
So I get out of the jumpy castle and I sit down and I drink a little bit, and my back starts to lessen, but it still hurts, but it's a little less. I can actually.
To our listeners, we are in no way advocating using alcohol as a way of self-medicating. Keep going.
So I go home, and this is when I had the carpet cleaning job, so I have a very physical job throughout the course of a day. So I talked to Heather, and she's like, "Oh, my mom hurt her leg. She has some Vicodin. I'll call her up. She'll bring it over."
Now we're talking.
I'm like, "Sure, whatever." So she brings over like 7 pills, I think. So I take one pill because I don't want to overdose. Because you hear all sorts of horror stories about Vicodin.
Right.
So I take a Vicodin, 4 ibuprofen, and I think that's it for the pain medication. Then I do my allergy medication, and this is barely taking the edge off of the pain. No, the next day I take 2 Vicodin and then 2 ibuprofen and do my day, and still it's barely taking the edge off of it. So I do this for about a month, and slowly the pain starts to go away, but there's still some pain. It goes from like a 10 out of 10 to about a 6 out of 10. So I'm having difficulty actually getting up from a laying down position. I have a nice soft bed, and I have difficulty getting out of it. I kind of have to work up to sitting up, kind of like rolling back and forth to sit up. So finally, I concede and I go to the chiropractor. And the first thing the chiropractor does is he takes a tuning fork, and he takes a tuning fork and then explains to me what a tuning fork is. And I just looked at him blankly, and I'm like, I used to be a musician. I know what a tuning fork is. Oh, okay. So he smacks the tuning fork and then runs it up and down my back. And he's like, the good news is your back's not broken. And I'm like,
Jesus.
I'm like, thanks, doc. I hurt myself a month ago. I think if my back were broken, I'd be in a lot more pain than I am. Either that, or I'm a tougher son of a bitch than I thought. And I know that's not the case. Even though I'm working a month with a dislocated disc and not knowing it. So he feels around my back a little bit, and he's like, your disc is dislocated. He's like, I'll tell you what, we'll sell you a package, 8 sessions, I think it is, or it's 8 weeks or something like that. I think it's 8 weeks. He's like, 8 weeks, 2 sessions a week. We have a package. If you're a student, you get it for is less than $100. Really, really great chiropractor. And he's one guy, and he rifles through like 6-7 people in an hour. He's like really good at what he does.
Jeebus.
And so I go there. He puts the disc back in, and oh my God, that hurt almost as much as it's slipping out. And so I go to him about 5 or 6 times, and my back's fine now for the most part. I didn't go the whole 8 weeks, even though I paid for them. I just screw it. But so there's a little bit. I feel my age more so now than I did before. But yeah, it was a little embarrassing, to say the least, because you have to explain to everybody along the way. Yeah, my back hurts. Really, what happened? Jumpy castle accident.
With lightsabers.
With lightsabers.
See, all you have to tell them is that you landed wrong doing an incredible stunt.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal tries to do that, and we don't let that slide.
God, I hope people are still listening.
Because Jamal bruised his rib and won't stop complaining about it. This is the first time you heard about me dislocating a disc. And you know what I did?
Half of that is you just embarrassed to tell that story, because who would you tell that story to?
But you know what? I went to work at my physical job and did it with little complaints and
I never missed a day of work. I kept going to work with a bruised rib, lifting heavy stuff at work all day.
Yeah, but I'm sure everybody heard about it.
No, actually, they gave me Vicodin. I was happy.
Yeah, see, I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't get, prescribed Vicodin.
No, you went to some hippie who used a musical instrument to molest your back or something.
No, the hippie is Heather's mom. The chiropractor is an actual doctor. He's really good. Just because he wears sandals to work is nothing. He's,
Jesus Christ.
Does he have a ponytail? He has a ponytail. He has a ponytail, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't have a ponytail. He doesn't wear sandals to work either. That was a joke.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on.
So what ails you besides your weight there, Jamal?
I'm fat.
Thought you were going to sing that Weird Al Yankovic song there for a second.
Any other things you want me to say over so you can use that? Use the bleep out words we don't want.
Say nuclear vessels.
Nuclear vessels. God, I can't get the accent right. What the hell was wrong with Chekhov? Nuclear vessels. Because it becomes
Wessel.
V becomes a W.
Yeah.
Nuclear vessels.
Which is actually the opposite in Polish. The W's are pronounced like V's, which is why my last name, which is spelled with the W, is pronounced Pavlak.
I've been calling you Pavlak this whole time.
Yeah, white people can't really figure out how to say my name, so I don't even.
Nobody can figure out how to say your name.
I'm over it.
Why can't we just go back to calling you Cats? Cats was
Yeah,
cool.
I was like, for the longest time, I thought your last name was Katz.
That's because that's what my email was, because someday I will do the TV show that character is in.
So, podcast over? Good job, guys.
Awesome. Great podcast, guys.
Oh,
See you
yeah.
next week.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we should just do like a 4-minute podcast from now on. So
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Oh, for our anniversary, like 10th one, we do like Alien and Outland.
Screw that. Let's do a marathon or something, like an actual franchise.
See, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, actually.
Or like pick like your favorite movie from a franchise.
Yeah. Starship
Marathon.
Troopers 2.
No, I was gonna say we pick a franchise and then we pick our favorite movie from it. So like we do like the James Bond franchise and everybody picks their favorite James Bond movie.
Oh, I see.
Or
I got you.
Godzilla or Alien.
Ooh, Godzilla sounds nice.
I would include Aliens and Predator in like an Aliens and or Predator franchise. And if you're gonna do Godzilla, are we gonna do the 2 American ones? Because I don't think anybody is going to say that either one of those was a good movie.
Honestly, I think we're gonna have, if we do a Godzilla, we're gonna have to incorporate Godzillas in general, because they do have the nomenclature.
How about you pick one actual Japanese one and then pick one of the 2 American ones, and then we'll compare and contrast.
That could work.
That's actually not a bad idea. I was just say we could do the both Godzilla Mothra ones, the American version and the Japanese version.
There's a Mothra version out there.
Yeah, technically it's not Mothra, but it's
it's not Mothra, because the sequel that's coming out is Mothra, Ghidorah, and Rodan versus Godzilla.
American?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're doing a sequel to that?
It's not a sequel, but it's essentially how they've been doing the Godzillas, like back in Japanese and everything. So it's like the first Godzilla, and it's a new monster, but they're just rehashing the original monsters in the next Godzilla.
Okay.
Hey, Alex, you're saying that nobody likes those movies? Well, the 2014 one holds a 75 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Seriously?
Yep.
Yeah, dude, that was a great Godzilla.
I like Godzilla.
There was like 50% less Godzilla in that movie than any other fucking Godzilla movie.
Yeah, but it's not about Godzilla. It's about
He's the titular
It's about the
character.
consequences of Godzilla.
Exactly. Look at it. Look at the way Godzilla was created in the new American version. Nuclear holocaust, essentially. And
that's how it is in the Japanese version too.
Right. And so we're essentially playing God. We're dicking with nature. I mean, that's what we've always been doing, is dicking with nature. And it just so happens Godzilla comes to save us.
That should be the new slogan for the Jackling's Jerky. Instead of messing with Sasquatch, it's sticking with nature.
It's just a Sasquatch just giving it to some guy, like just right behind a bush.
Just raping people instead of eating them or attacking them, bending them over their SUVs.
Oh my God, it's Sasquatch! What does he do? What's he do? Oh, I'm a butt! Oh, I'm a butthole!
He's attacking that guy. He's mauling him. No, he's taking off his pants. Oh, damn! He just spit in his hand.
This will not end well. Maybe it's because I was a kid, but I did enjoy the original American Godzilla. Not so much for the movie itself, but for the experience, because they knew how to do it back then. The theaters.
What, the one with Broderick?
Yeah,
dude, that
Not
got
the
under
mov-
more
not
balls
the-
than a midget hooker.
not the movie in itself, but just the experience of it, because I was a kid back then. And back
Okay,
then,
yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
And back then, they knew how to do movies right. Like you go to the theater on opening weekend, they have the carpets like the carpets were like his footprints all the way leading to the theaters. There were like statues everywhere, and like all the merch that was there just for Godzilla. They knew how to do it back then.
Oh no, and it was fantastic too.
Yep.
Okay, what year was that one?
98.
Something like
98,
that.
yeah.
It was shortly after one of the Jurassic Parks came out, and it was basically a Jurassic Park ripoff. This is why we had all the Godzilla babies in Madison Square Garden, because they wanted a scene like the raptors in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And that's really what gets me about Godzilla. The two Godzilla movies have not been about Godzilla, and I want to see that.
Holy shit! You know what? I completely forgot right now. Jean Reno, the guy that, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in.
Yeah.
Yep.
I completely forgot because I checked it up right now. I was like, Jean Reno, why does that look? Holy shit! He fell far in 1998.
But he was riding high on that Mission Impossible thing.
Yeah,
he
was.
No wrong.
Now there's a guy who does any role. I mean, or can do any role. How do you go from the Professional to Godzilla to what was that movie that just came out with Vince Vaughn where he's on vacation with Kristen Stewart or Kristen Bell? Couples Vacation or something like that.
Oh, that one. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Jean Reno's in there too.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch! I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jean Reno is taking like any role that comes his way and knows how to play it.
Well, I mean, all right. So I'm looking at his IMDb page. He's essentially worked from like steadily every year. He's done. Don't get me wrong, a lot of foreign films. Up until about the 90s. He did La Femme Nikita, which was, still French, but it was also American at the same time.
Well, it's done. That was written and directed by the same guy who did Leon the Professional.
Yeah, it was. What's his
Luc
face?
Besson.
Yeah,
Luc
Besson. Honestly, it looks like fucking Leon was his first breakout his first cult breakout in America.
Look, he was in Ronin.
Yeah.
Damn, he really is in everything.
He's the go-to French guy.
No, he is, and he does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
The Pink Panther,
Hotel Rwanda, Flyboys, fucking.
He's like Peter Stormare. Peter Stormare is the go-to Russian guy. Jean Reno is the go-to French guy.
Yeah.
Remind me who
he does.
Remind you what?
Who Peter Stormare is?
He played Lev in Armageddon. He was the crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got it.
And you see him in a lot of things. He was in Snatch. He played the crazy. No, he didn't play the crazy Russian. It was the other Russian guy.
Yeah.
Russian guy number 2.
He was crazy Russian guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the killer in Fargo.
Yeah, he was.
You wanna hear the weird thing about that? I'm looking up his wiki right now. Peter Stormare is actually Rolf Peter Ingvar Storm from Sweden.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
From Sweden.
Yeah.
Because he's like go-to Russian guy number 1.
Yeah. Well, he has that that definite like European tough guy look to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's honestly like eyes down. I'm looking at his picture right now. It's like eyes down. He has that big jaw. He has that that I hate to say big nose as well, but it's definitive of that style.
He looks like a human vulture hybrid.
You're a
That's
human culture hybrid.
oh by the way, he's also only 61. That man has not aged well.
What do you mean he's on what?
He's
What?
only he's only 61.
Yeah, and he looks it.
Actually,
No, he looks quite a bit older. I would have guessed he was like in the 70s.
Peter Stormare?
Yeah.
I think he looks pretty good for 61.
Yeah, no, he
Yeah.
looks good for his age.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Last Stand with the Schwarzenegger?
No.
No, yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, this man he's lived a life. He's lived quite a life.
Well, yeah, of course. I would hope someone like him would live his life. It's not like you're just gonna look at him and go, man,
No, I mean
he
he's
ate a
lived a
lot of
hard life.
broccoli.
He lived a hard life.
Well, let's
Okay.
take this opportunity to move on to the movie, to
Okay.
Leon the Professional.
Oh, that's right. That's what we were here for.
Exactly, yes. So this is one of my favorite films, starring
John Reno, Gary Oldman, Natalie Portman, and David Aiello.
So this is like I have to say this is my favorite movie of Natalie Portman's, and it's kind of sad that I think she peaked at age 12. But this is one of the reasons why I suggest this movie. I just think everybody in this film just did an amazing job, and I think in part I would have said in part that it's probably Luc Besson's hand in all of this, but then I saw Lucy, and I'm like, well, maybe he's not as good of a director as I always thought he was.
Or maybe you just didn't like Lucy.
Lucy was pretty bad, so maybe there was that. But he wrote the Taken series of movies and the Transporter series of movies, so I'll take that for what it's worth.
They're not terrible.
Yeah,
He-
they're enjoyable.
He wrote and directed The Fifth Element, so take that for what it is.
Which again, I think is a great movie.
Jamal, do you want to go ahead and start, since I think this is the first time you've seen this movie, right?
No, I've seen this movie more than once.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, like I didn't have to do homework for this week. I've seen this movie before a couple
Okay.
times.
All right, well, why don't you go ahead and start with your impressions of the whole thing?
This movie reinforces just how much American cinema has influenced the rest of the world. It is a movie starring a Frenchman, directed by a Frenchman, written by a Frenchman, set in New York City, done in the stylings of early Tarantino. Like that opening sequence where he goes to deliver the message to the drug boss.
Yeah.
The dialogue there really kind of just straight up in the way that Tarantino likes to take the one-liners from like 80s action movies and 70s action movies, string them together into dialogue. That for an entire movie, that's how I felt. I was watching in that first sequence. I mean, there's still very much a flair that's all Luc Besson. I think the scene where he actually comes out from behind, like where he slowly reaches out with the knife and sticks it to the places it against the boss's neck. I thought that was just an incredible artistic choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's complete pitch darkness back there, and you just see a hand with a knife kind of come out. It's very like it's like a still life portrait or photo, like very artsy there, and I really appreciated that. But the entire movie in itself just it's what foreign people or foreign filmmakers would do with 80s action, American action in the 80s, and I really liked it, and where it differentiates itself for me was the little touches that he gave, like the like for instance the direction Natalie Portman's character takes in the film. Very, very different. You don't necessarily see that in a lot of films. She's very it's hard to describe her character without sounding like a complete and total pedophile. But
Do the best you can.
I'm trying to, but I would assume part of Basan's direction to her was own your sexuality, because she kind of does that the entire movie.
Yeah.
She's very much acting like an older. Again,
Woman.
this is where sure, let's go with that word.
Yeah.
and the musical theme to Gary Oldman's character, and just before I go any further, I want to make it a point that I miss these kinds of movies. Another movie this reminds me of so much is another Tarantino film was starring Gary Oldman, True Romance. Like I get that vibe from this movie.
Yeah.
It's very much
Definitely.
stylized action. God, in between those stylized action scenes is fairly decent, character study. So much I could say about this movie, but just it's hard to not. It's not bottlenecking right now. It's not making it out of me right now. But overall, I think it's what action should be when it's done right.
Oh, I think you hit on a lot of things there that are true about this movie. He did a wonderful job mixing action with a lot of subtext and a lot of character development. He did in this kind of what the Wachowski brothers did in the first Matrix movie. He melded a lot of different things together, and they all worked. It's things that you wouldn't normally put together in an action film, but it all worked. And maybe it was by accident, maybe it was by design, maybe it was just by pure talent, But he was able to force all these things together, like
Well,
Portman's sexuality and the very bloody action sequences, and kind of almost the anticlimactical ending.
Well, if that role that Portman was playing, if an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old was doing all the things that she was doing in that movie, would you not automatically say that that's the love interest of the movie?
Very much so, and I would hope that even if it were an older actress playing the role, that they still would have put a big age gap there, and he still would have acted the way he was, because I think they did that very specifically, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But it's yeah, she was, for lack of a better word, the love interest, and she even states that she is in love with him, and it's mostly because he rescues her. But yeah.
To my point about how uh, American cinema has influenced the rest of the world, is it saying something that the thing that the rest of the world is getting from us is action? Is that a big thing? Do you think is that our major product to them? Is it?
A Frenchman once said that the only two things America ever gave the world was rock and roll music and Harley Davidsons. So probably yes.
You guys as filmmakers, you're okay that that the rest of the world sees American films as a series of explosions and I mean I'm not dissing action movies. I absolutely love them, but that this is our calling card, our chief. You know, when they picture an American film, they picture Stallone in shirtless and shooting off machine guns.
Every single type of film and where it comes from has a genre. America happens to be the explosions, and not just the explosions, but we're more action based.
Yeah.
Could something like Japan pull off something like an American movie? Maybe, but it'll definitely have that Japanese influence to it. So you'll tell it's a Japanese director, a Japanese writer, and it still has these nuances to it. You see an American film, you say, this is an American film. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right. So, but why John Rambo and not Forrest Gump, though?
Well, I mean, look at what America really flocks to. I mean, yeah, we like, Forrest Gump. We like Saving Private Ryan. We like, movies like that. And to top off the Tom Hanks trifecta, we can go with Philadelphia. Yeah. Or we can go with my personal Tom Hanks favorite, Road to Perdition. These movies. I
was going to say Turner and Hooch, but go ahead.
Turner and Hooch is also pretty good. That has a lot of subtext to it, and a lot of heart to it. But that's more the comedy thing, and I think comedy may be the other really big thing that we give the world, a kind of mindless comedy. But it's like, look at modern day action movies. Look at the Transformer series. Look at Avengers and the Avenger movies, those are a lot of explosions that go on in there, and a lot of action sequences, and very little blood too. We don't do it ultra realistic. We do a a cartoonish version of violence that kind of makes it sugar coated and kind of makes it a little better. But when you have guys like Quentin Tarantino do action, look at his action films. When you have like Robert Rodriguez do action, look at his action films.
That's
When
that's a great. I'm glad you bring up that name in particular. Why Tarantino and why Michael Bay or John Milius, but not Tarantino or Spike Lee?
Because Tarantino takes those genres and tips them on his ear. I mean, if you look at From Dusk Till Dawn, if you watch that without knowing anything about it and not seeing any of the trailers, you don't realize that that's kind of a horror film, that's a vampire film. You go into it thinking it's a regular, Tarantino kind of action film, and it starts out that way. And
He, he didn't direct that, by the way.
no, but he did write it and he did produce it. It's from Quentin
Did he?
Tarantino.
Oh, did he write it? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. It's from Quentin Tarantino, from Robert Rodriguez, from Dusk Till Dawn. That's how they advertised it. And every time he says, I only did 4 movies or whatever the number is now, he always forgets that one. He always forgets 4 Rooms, which really pisses me off because those are also his films. You can also go ahead and say that films that he acted in are his films too, but I won't even go into that. So.
Right.
He did produce that. He did have a hand in it. One of the characters is one of his characters, the lawman that ends up being shot at the beginning, Quick Draw. He's one of Tarantino's characters that he loans to Robert Rodriguez for this film. So it's those guys do things like that, and they put it on their ear, and they do things with and to their characters that kind of make them flawed, that kind of make them not superheroes. They're not really heroes. They're kind of anti-heroes. And we did that kind of in the beginning with like Rambo and with Rocky, but we moved away from that. Rambo had to be justified. Rocky had to be justified. They had to win. They couldn't be these guys who were the stars of the film, but not very good people.
Is that a reaction to us? Are we conditioned to want to see all our heroes be straight laced and has John Wayne taught us that it's black and white in movies?
No, but you also have to look at the eras when those were created. If you look at something like John Rambo, First Blood, that was a veteran coming back home from PTSD, suffering from something real that not a lot of people at that time knew of or were even discussing. I mean, hell, even nowadays, PTSD is still viewed as kind of a coward's way out of saying that I can't deal with this. That honestly, a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a huge stigma. Yeah,
there still is. Even 30, close to 40 years after that movie's come out, there's still this huge stigma, and that's why that movie was great. It's not the fact that it's this shoot 'em up, kill movie. It was a fantastic film that, I mean, even Jaws, I can put up there as well. It was a great movie because it had a central theme, and that was one man trying to deal with the past that he can't get rid of anymore. Fucking Jaws is another example. Jaws came out. It was a movie. It's about a giant shark. That's all everybody remembers. Go over to Japan, China, fucking Russia. They all know that as that movie. But let me ask you guys one thing. What was Jaws really about?
I know it was more than just. It's hard to say.
It's kind of about a guy trying to keep his town together, the sheriff, but trying to keep his family together.
It's a lot like something High Noon, where it's the one guy, the one lone voice of reason, trying to save a city, and while dealing with like a personal life at the same time, because he always seemed like a fish out of water to me, and he was always trying to like he was out of his element clearly, but he was going against himself to actually to save the day, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so Jaws is about greed.
Really?
Yes. Think about
please.
it. Everything that happens in that movie is because the mayor kept telling the scientists, We are not closing down the beach because this is the biggest revenue day for our town.
Yeah, the summer.
That's
Jaws
true.
is about greed.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why that movie was so great. Sorry. Because everything about that film, yes, you have the shark. Yes, you have uh the suspenseful horror, and honestly it's one of the reasons why a lot of people are afraid of the ocean nowadays, or just water, large bodies of water nowadays. But that movie was about one concept, one person's greed. That's it. And how everything unfolds in that film because of one person's greed.
I would like to take it a step further. I'd like to think that that movie is more political because it's not one person's greed. I think that is there's a story to be told there about the mayor. Like you could tell this story from the mayor's perspective. He's a guy running a small town, doing his best to keep it open, doing his best to make sure that people are there happy. There is a point of time coming where he knows where he can get these people the kind of money they need to live off for a year, and he's doing everything in his power to actually to make sure that that still comes to pass.
But at
While
the same time, look at that film and see how popular that town was. That town was thriving.
for that season, like I'm
That
saying, like you
town,
could
there's a
write
reason why that town was so popular. It's because of the beach. Beach towns never get unpopular. That was one man attempting to get
right,
more money.
but all throughout the film, they're advertising it as this is the season, or was it spring break or something where they were all heading out there?
It was summer.
It was summer, and
Yeah,
they're East Coast, so there's a lot of like downtime because of the winter and stuff. They're
Exactly.
like Maine or something.
well,
Yeah.
This is sort of my pitch for the story of the mayor in Jaws, or basically the conflict of the movie is him trying to make sure that everybody that the economy for this town and the welfare of that people still happens while there's a known threat out there. So I think there's a deeper, larger story to be told on that side too. But as I think about it, there are a lot of stories to be deeper meanings in that movie. I think that's why it's so good.
Okay,
Like you could tell,
so
like
let me give this to you then. That mayor had a cost to every single person's life then.
exactly.
Right.
So,
Okay.
what do you think are the themes then in The Professional? Because I can tell you what I think, but you guys go ahead, go first.
Change. I'm going to say change for one.
Okay.
Loneliness, compartmentalization.
I think for me, when I watch this, I see a guy who has tremendous intimacy issues, and this guy is somebody who is fearless. He's a cold-blooded killer. He has no problems with that. But here's a woman, albeit she's 12, but if you eliminate that from the equation, here's this woman who shows him affection, and every time she does, he looks scared to death. And it's not that, oh, you're 12 years old, I can go to jail for this. He looks like somebody's going to try to murder him or something. And I think that's what kind of the theme of this movie is, or
Right.
one of the themes of this movie is that this character, can literally penetrate and shoot his wad everywhere else in the city, but this one person, just completely.
It's actually even said when Tony was talking to him, he's like, you're here because of a girl.
Yeah. Yeah, and both, the reason why he came to America, and he there is a girl in his life that he wants to leave his money to if something happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way I see this movie, and there
By
are
the way,
other
some of the
things
things. By the way, some of the things I love about this movie, one of the things I just thought of, the little quirks that his character has.
like
Two
with the
cartons of
plant.
milk every day. 2 cartons of milk every day. His little plant, his only friend, and he goes to see old,
Tony.
Gene Kelly movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like
But
those.
see,
Those are nice little flourishes.
And that's what makes a good character great. Is because you right there, as an audience member, saw something about his character without anybody saying anything, without being deliberate. saying, "Oh,
Ooh,
look, he enjoys old school movies. Well, nowadays old school movies. He enjoys his little plant, and he enjoys his is one of his pleasures in life is to drink milk. On top of his other businesses or his other daily duties of cleaning his weapons as well as working out, so he has the ability to do his job. But those are his little character nuances. Whereas Natalie,
they're the human parts of him.
exactly, and
It,
and that's the part that Alex was getting at, is that you see this cold-blooded dyed-wool killer who he has these abilities not everybody does, or these inabilities, and someone like a little 12-year-old girl is able to break down these emotional walls for him that he ran away from. And that's why, it's one reason why that movie is such a cult following. Honestly, I don't think you could do something like that in America
No, you couldn't.
at all.
No. And
here's
and that's the thing, that if you watch a lot of Michael Bay movies, you'll start to notice that he does a lot of like statutory rape humor that's not really kind of funny, and the most obvious is in the last Transformer movie, where they do like a 2 or 3 minute exchange between Marky Mark and the guy who can't keep an Irish accent to save his life. They talk about
yeah.
how the daughter's underage, but he's like, oh wait, there's the Romeo and Juliet law, and he carries that little card in his wallet, and that whole exchange seems creepy and unnecessary.
I never saw that Transformers.
I don't remember. I've seen that. I remember that scene. I don't remember a whole lot of that in other Michael Bay movies, but
But it's just that one is so obvious and so blatant, and it's like he they could have made the daughter 18 and still have Marky Mark be a pissed off father about the
But
whole
see,
thing.
that's the difference between American films and foreign films, let's just say, is that whenever you come down to a foreign film like that, like Leon the Professional, you didn't see Natalie Portman's character, Matilda, as a 12-year-old girl. You saw her as a young woman who was emotionally and physically damaged. And this adult figure who was still childlike as well had these properties that she had never seen before, never had before. So she wasn't, for all intents and purposes, a 12-year-old girl. She just happened to be in a 12-year-old's body, learning these things about herself. And they were both learning things about each other. And she taught him things, and he taught her things as well. So you don't see, how Besson wrote her character, from what I can tell, is that she was an of age woman, let's say, who happened to be in a 12-year-old girl's body. Whereas something like Michael Bay, it's a 12-year-old girl being talked about like she's a 12-year-old girl. And that's the fine line that I don't think America has been able to, some, but not all, let me just put it that way, have been able to get across yet.
Hang on. Back to my point about the quirks. They do a very specific thing in this movie for me. They separate him from what he does. So often when we see action heroes, they're exactly just what you see on screen. They're the guns. They're the martial arts. They're the one-liners. In this one movie, I'd say you learn more about the main hero than you did in four Rambos. What do you know about Rambo's personal life, really? I know nothing about John Rambo. I know absolutely nothing about it. I do not know what he does in his time. I do not know what his hopes, his dreams are. I know that Leon has, for the most part, decided that his lot in life is to stay here, to stay alone and do this. Like,
But
he
that's
has
the
a personal
difference
life. He
between the
has
two
friends.
movies. First Blood isn't about you trying to figure out what Rambo is trying to do in his life. No. All it's about is a soldier who's trying to live his day-to-day life with all these nightmares and these daymares and these PTSD, while people give him shit because it was about the Vietnam War. People don't recognize Vietnam War vets as true veterans. They don't. My dad was never recognized as a true veteran.
No, they're
So
all
people who
veterans.
come over, no, they are, but
Yeah, no, they
they are
absolutely
still
are.
not recognized. A lot of Vietnam veterans are looked down upon.
A lot of them were spit on it when they came home.
Exactly. So, you know,
yeah, people like
that
Oliver
perfect
Stone.
timing for Rambo First Blood to come out in that time, in that era, it had nothing to do with the character at all. It had everything to do with the way that the American government and the American people were treating our veterans, people who sacrificed, people who died, so that you and I could have a conversation. That's all that movie was. Not all that movie was, but that was something
But
something like Leon the Professional was not. It had nothing to do with that. It was more of a character-driven storyline. You have this one character who's a killer. He is. He's a killer. He has every ability to kill everybody and everything that he wanted to. I mean, he fucking took out a police force essentially by himself. And he's afraid of, as Alex was saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but he's afraid of commitment now because of what he was damaged in the past. Yes. So you can't compare Leon to First Blood.
Here's where I make you kind of made my point for me. The distinction I make between those two movies is this: Leon is a character. John Rambo is a plot device in that movie. Why? Because he lacks anything else except for that monologue he gets at the end of every movie. What is there to actually show that this thing that you see on screen at that time actually thinks or feels anything? Whereas Leon, you see that throughout the entire film.
Yes. That's why you can't compare the two.
My point when I made those is that John Rambo is less of a character. He's not a character, actually. He's a plot device. God, I'm gonna try and find the right word here.
That's essentially what he is.
He's a means to an end, and yes. One of the reasons why Leon works is because of those little flourishes, those little things that make him different, and that's sorely lacking in a bunch of action movies. Alex, you brought up the what do you call it? The Michael Bay films.
Yeah.
Those are attempts at flourishes gone wrong.
Yes,
they are.
And America has not been able to come up with a character or a flourish, to use your word, in decades, in all honesty.
I'm trying to think of one right now.
It's hard to come by. See, it's not. I'm not saying they haven't, but it's hard to come by.
When Americans do that, they do a very cliche version of that. They do like the buddy cop film where you have the one guy who's kind of the loner, and then the other guy who's the family man. So just because he has a family, and they're the joking around kind of family because they always are. That is all the information you get about him. And that's their attempt at giving him a flourish or a personality or something beyond the job. They did that in Bad Boys. They did that in Lethal Weapon. I'm sure they did it in other films. I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but those are the two that stand out that all these people have to define them or to separate them from everyone else is this family that we see a very little bit of your home life with. And then, does that become kind of an Achilles heel to them later on? With our guy Leon here, he doesn't have any of that. He does segregate and compartmentalize everything, and chooses to pull himself out of society. But even in that, he has that plant that is his best friend that he talks about, and through that, through his need for some sort of connection to something, he has that plant, and slowly he makes a connection with the little girl even before anything happens, and those are the little things that start giving him a personality and start separating him from everybody else.
Why does the movie come over here with more artistic flourish? What are we lacking that they have? What is missing from us that they have? Is it a matter of taste? Is it lacking anything?
Well, the what was taken out of the American version was some of the violence that was going on with Leon and Matilda. There was a lot more of the two of them doing stuff together, hitman wise. In the European version that was cut out of the American version. The scene in the restaurant where she declares her love for him and gets drunk and tries to seduce him was cut out of the American film.
God, I wish that would have made it in the American film.
American is too prudish to let that happen. They would have been up in arms and said this whole thing is about, pedophilia and whatnot. And if you look at it, he does not reciprocate those feelings towards. He does love her in a sense because he doesn't want anything to happen to her, and he saves her life, and he has affection for her, but he doesn't love her in the fact that he wants to carry on any kind of romantic relationship with her. And again, that's why I say it's a story about a guy with intimacy issues, because, is it because she's 12 years old, or is it because he can't actually formulate those kind of feelings for anybody? Yes. Let's go ahead and wrap up. This week was supposed to be Jamal's turn to pick a movie.
I'm going to abstain from picking a movie this week, and I'm going to forfeit my rights to pick a movie too.
We will have a special guest next week.
Heather? You're so nice, Jamal. Even though we've kind of been vetoed regardless, you're so nice, Jamal.
Yeah.
What do you mean vetoed? What do you mean vetoed?
Remember,
we know what side of the bread is buttered on your house.
Yeah,
you don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
No, I think what Jamal is saying is that he misses food after his dieting and all that.
Oh, you missed the beginning. I was over here eating a salad. I was complaining the whole time to Alex while I was doing it.
Oh my god, he had tears running down his tiny little cheeks. He was just, I'm sad.
On the plus side, I think I am losing a little bit of weight. So.
Hey, good for you, man.
Thank you guys.
How long has it been? Been like 3 months, 4 months?
Coming up on 2.5 right now.
2.5. Okay.
Nice.
And you're still walking. How far are you walking?
Oh, yesterday I did like a full 8.25 miles.
Nice.
We had the show today, so I did a little under 5.
Okay, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I doubt I could walk 5 miles.
I'm sure you have an easier time to get than I will.
Yeah.
Good talk this week, guys. I like this week.
Yeah. So.
By the way, Alex, I've been figuring out why none of your emails have been getting, or why my emails haven't been getting through to you.
Yeah.
Apparently, my autocorrect has been putting your email as flight on the I. So whoever has flight on the I at Gmail has been getting my bio like 4 fucking times this week.
Could you forward that thing about the half marathons to him so he can send it to me?
The half marathons?
Remember you last week you mentioned that thing where I would run like a minute, walk for a minute, and then
fucking Christ, that's what I forgot to do this. Okay, I'll do that right now.
Yeah, throw all that into
yeah.
I'll pass it on to Jamal.
I'll put it flight in the I.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I'll send
There's some really confused guy out there.
You should send, because you didn't get any bounce backs on that, so somebody does have that.
No, someone definitely has that.
What I would do is I would write an apology and then a little ad for the show, and then he'll be all amazed. It'd be all like, Listen to episode 8, we'll talk about you.
Leave a comment, please. Leave a comment.
Yeah, I was like, why the fuck? I was like, this fucking prick. I've been sending it to him. Why hasn't he gotten it? So I'm looking through.
It's my fault. That is not to me.
I was like, my bad. I was like, oops.
How dare you not get my mail?
Yeah, like it threw me off guard. I'm like, this fucking dickhole. I don't know why he's not getting any of my shit. And I'm looking at him like, maybe I'm putting it like, because every once in a while I'll type in .com, but I'll forget the M, and I'll just hit enter right away. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what I did. I was like, flight on the I. Flight on the. You're a fucking moron, Mario.
That's actually. Folks, that's actually Flight in the Eye Productions. If you Google it, you can actually find the Facebook page for it, where you will find a link to this website, mof.ninja, where you can listen to our show and leave a comment.
Or you can just go to flightintheeye.com and there will be a link there to our show as well. Or you could just go to mof.ninja, MOF as in Makers on Film.ninja.
Say what? Girl,
I,
you crazy.
I
I'm
know,
there
right?
right now.
Are you there?
Yes.
And are you
And
a girl?
I have a giant Bill Duke looking at me sultry in the eyes.
There you go.
He does kind of flirt with you through the computer, doesn't he?
Butch.
Butch. Who says Butch better, folks? Leave a comment.
Oh, by the way, did you tell Jamal about the guy that guessed your age?
You mean
Wait,
my
what?
brother?
Oh, was that who it was?
That's my brother. And if you notice, and I will say this flat out, he didn't guess my age. He guessed what age I will be. So technically, that doesn't count.
That's true. That is
So
very
wait, he
true.
doesn't get. So Mario doesn't have to send him $1?
I think there's other reasons why he might have to send my brother $1, but guessing my age is not it.
Okay.
Because he did not guess my current age. He guessed what age I will be on my birthday.
When your birthday is, I won't say it over here, but can I say it over the air?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
November 13th, folks. Wish him a happy birthday that day. We'll still be here. We'll still be recording, and you'll still be commenting.
I've already said that I had the same birth date as Whoopi Goldberg, so anybody who really wanted to do like a small iota worth of research could have figured out when my birth date was. But
just ask one of us as well.
There's that, or you could just leave a comment on mof.ninja, and I'm sure somebody will get around to being all like, yeah, his birthday is blah, like Jamal just did.
So okay, so your brother is the one that put on the was it when we did, oh shit, what is it, quick change, is that your brother commenting?
I believe it is.
Serious Deluge?
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
That is a shout out to our most loyal listener.
Yeah,
I will give you that.
One of them.
He has listened to all the podcasts thus far, so yeah, props to.
Okay, and this goes out to Serious Deluge. The microphone that I'm using now is actually a stage microphone that is meant for it. It takes out a lot of the bass within itself, but because I am so close to my microphone, the proximity effect is lowering my voice anyway. So that my voice isn't really too high pitched anyway. So give me a week or so. I'll see if I can put my mic through my mixer and bump up the treble just a bit more.
Weren't you using the snowball on this issue? Or on this
Yes. Last week I used the snowball.
That was for Bill Duke, but didn't you do it for quick change too? I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I use it for both. You're right.
Yeah, and the snowball, since it's omnidirectional, there's a lot of treble that it kind of screws with how it sounds. This microphone that you're using now actually sounds a lot better because you don't have as much of your surroundings leaking into it.
Yeah. Well, I also closed off my window and everything like that this week too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting some some foam padding and just laying it up in my room.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you see, folks, if you actually comment on mof.ninja, we will actually personally discuss your comments on the show, like we have for Serious Deluge, who has incredible taste in comedy because he thinks the Black Adder is awesome.
However, to be completely honest, I only ever look at mof.ninja when we're doing a show. So yes and no.
So if you go to mof.ninja and go to the show notes for quick change, you will see that the last thing my brother said was, quote, "You don't like Jamal either," end quotes, ... That's another $1 for me, sir. So that's a vote for him saying that he doesn't like Jamal, so you have to send him $1 for that.
That's true.
Gee.
All right. So we'll have to,
I'll give you my mom's address, and you can just send the $1 to her.
Yeah,
I got your mom's address. No, good.
So this is also the last week that Jamal is a host. So if you'd like to say thank you for him.
we will have a little retrospect next month or next week for Jamal. It'll sound like a eulogy, but I'm sure he'll still be alive somewhere.
Oh, you'd lose a valuable perspective here. Who's gonna tell you what it feels like to be fat in America?
Me.
We're in America. We can find another fat guy to replace you.
Yeah, we can go to or we can go in front of a Home Depot and get one of those guys.
Yeah, and I'm sure one of them probably made a movie in Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
None of them bruised a rib doing it. I did. See, I offer something different. I offer something different.
Oh, Alex, you know how it got really quiet right there, and then he said something? You can cut that out, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay, we're good.
Nobody cares what he says anyway. Okay.
All right,
so,
ladies and gentlemen, and
nope.
Serious Deluge.
No, in Serious Deluge, that's good. We still haven't picked the movie for next week.
I thought, what's this?
He's forfeiting his turn, or his go. We'll give him a turn next week. But
that's right. So the hosts already know what the movie is, but the audience doesn't.
We're having a special guest next week, and we're letting her pick the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have our friend Heather Woodward come on.
See, we know girls.
Fucking kill yourself.
So we're gonna have Heather Woodward come on, and she has chosen the movie to watch for next week.
Which is?
This is by far going to be, I believe, our oldest movie that we're going to watch, and it is considered by some a Sean Connery classic.
Hunt for Red October?
Nope.
First Bond?
Nope. You already know what it is.
What's the one where he molested like a massage therapist? No, wait, that happened in real life. Never mind.
Any Bond?
That's called Jamal's One Time as a Massage Therapist.
That's called Sean Connery's Tuesday.
So the movie is the 1981 Sean Connery classic. This is what he did after he left the James Bond series, called Outland.
I think we should watch Time Bandits.
In the distant future, a police marshal stationed at a remote mining colony on Jupiter's moon, the Jupiter moon of Io, uncovers a drug smuggling conspiracy and gets no help from the populace when he later finds himself marked for murder. So it is the typical American action movie affair set on a moon of Jupiter.
Highlander in space, got it.
Yes.
Because, in space, they all sound Scottish.
And on that cricket-inducing note, we will go ahead and say goodnight.
Okay, that should be the tagline for this episode.
Cricket-inducing note. Awesome.
Okay. So you guys have a good evening.
Yep, I'm about to go eat some dinner. Later, guys.
Later.
Later.
Join the makers each week.
I'm fat.
Join the makers each week as they discuss film, TV, and pop culture. To learn more about them, go to mof.ninja. This is John Cleese saying goodbye.